Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January 14th, 2024 edition of the Boxing Source podcast. We are here checking in live. The Boxing Source is here with you. We got, a couple of things here that we're going to be talking about in this particular podcast, which includes the fight card that did happen on Saturday night over in Canada. We're going to be breaking down the main event. We're going to be breaking down the aftermath of the main event, and we're going to get more into what could be next for the winner of that main event. So we're going to be talking about that, and then also other news here that's been going on within the sport of boxing. A couple of news and notes, a couple of announcements that have been dropped in reference to fights that will be taking place or could be taking place later on this year. So we want to get into that here in a bit, but we want to get into the main topic at hand. With the unified light heavyweight titles that were on the line yesterday. You had Artur Beterbiev putting his undefeated record on the line, his knockout streak on the line against Callum Smith. Callum Smith was coming in there. Of course, he was a former world champion at super middleweight. Had like his lone loss to Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight, moved up to light heavyweight, scored a couple of wins. So he was coming in with a record of 29-1, with 21 of those wins by way of knockout. Beterbiev came in there 19-0, the defending WBC, WBO, and IBF light heavyweight champion, 19-0, 19 wins by way of knockout. And this was, the fight, probably the second best fight that could have been made in the light heavyweight division. I see what we got live here. I see Zoe in the building already, man. I see you in there. I know that you've been waiting. You've been rubbing your hands, so to speak, in reference to getting in or jumping in on this particular topic, man. And here he is, man. Zoe is checking in.
Man.
Man.
I was impressed with Beterbiev, but at the same time, I saw what I needed to see.
Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna break down this fight with Beterbiev and Callum Smith here, man, because I saw a couple of things there that Callum Smith was doing. But Beterbiev, was just too much for this guy. Callum Smith there, of course, was the taller fighter. He's 6'3". Beterbiev was there 5'11". Had Callum Smith had like a reach advantage of 5 inches there, 78 in comparison to 73. And the key to the fight for Callum Smith was for him to work the jab and try to be active enough with the jab and see if that would be able to work there against Artur Beterbiev. But it's one thing to have a jab, and it's one thing to have a consistent jab, but up to a certain point, that jab has to be effective against your opponent. And with Callum Smith, it wasn't effective enough against Artur Beterbiev, because while he was landing some jabs, Beterbiev was landing jabs of his own, and every one of those jabs that Beterbiev was landing was pretty much like poof, it almost felt like a cinder block was hitting Callum Smith, because you almost seemed like it kind of nullified the momentum of Callum Smith when he was getting hit by the jab. And it was just like every single punch from Beterbiev was just, hitting him hard and punishing him. So it was just like a modified breakdown of Callum Smith over the course of 7 rounds there. I really didn't see much where Beterbiev wasn't in much trouble, even with Callum Smith landing a few combinations within the middle parts of this particular fight. Like, what was it, like round 3 and like round 4, you seen Callum Smith kind of like land a couple of shots there, throwing 3 and 4 punch combinations. And even with that, it was still not enough for Beterbiev to really be set back, 1, and then 2. I kind of seen a couple of things there that was improved from Beterbiev in reference to the defense department. Not as far as like, having his high guard, but as far as like his movement with his feet. So I feel like, the thing with his feet was the key in this particular bout here that, really had his momentum take over against Callum Smith. And, all through those rounds, they were saying, oh, Callum Smith, he hasn't been knocked down over the course of his professional career. And I'm like, all right, you about to see that happening there, because I pretty much like seen it. Like, every time he landed those jabs, you were just seeing dude getting broken down there, and it was just a matter of time before Callum Smith was just going to end up submitting there. And that's exactly what we saw. He just got punished way too much there. Adding in, another one of our great contributors to the Boxing Source podcast, the Boxing Academic, is joined in here in this conversation. I'm breaking down Beterbiev Smith, and it's something when you have somebody like Beterbiev that going into this bout, he beat everybody, stopped everybody, and it's just how he's able to eventually break down his opponents. And you see that here with Callum Smith. I think Callum Smith, was probably more the, I would say, leaning more of the more talented side of his opponents in comparison to like his past few opponents. Probably ever since his fight against Gvozdyk, because at least in the Gvozdyk fight, Gvozdyk was able to do a few good things there against Beterbiev, and
whooping his ass.
Had Gvozdyk leading, but he was still able to break down Gvozdyk and stop him, and that's what he's been doing ever since. And with Callum Smith, I know Callum Smith had like a couple of wins, and had stopped his opponents there. But I mean, come on, like Jerome, what was it? Matthew Batterleek and Gilbert Rivera, like, come on, that's a whole different thing than facing someone like Artur Beterbiev, man. And it did. I'm sorry, it could have been now. It could have been 6 months ago or whatever it was. I just didn't feel like Callum Smith, really could do something to really affect Beterbiev in this instance. So Beterbiev getting that stoppage.
Like, as for me, the way I seen the
fight,
I said, as for me, the way I seen the fight, I just feel like Callum Smith, like to quote Boxing Academic, like he like to say, is not a smart fighter. This nigga is not intelligent at all. He either, when Beterbiev came forward, he either conceded too much space and allowed Beterbiev to get too close. Even with that slow-ass reaching fucking jab he was doing in the first 3 rounds, bro, that I'm just waiting to get countered, dog. He would just let this nigga violate his space. And when he did allow to be offensive, too many times he would just get too close into Beterbiev's space, and then Beterbiev was able to maul him and just frame up and get punches off. When the few times he had success is when he fought at the proper distance and was able to shoot off his jab. It doesn't matter if the punches affect him. He could have won the fight doing that, but he's not an intelligent fighter. He never been an intelligent fighter his whole career. You feel me? He got exploited. But that fight did show me, based off the limited intelligence he did have when he did have success, that fight just showed me everything I need to know. Bring on Bivol. Bivol is going to flush this fucking communist guy's fucking radiator, man.
No, he won't. I'm telling you, no, he will not.
Man, let's bet on it, man. He's going to flush this guy's radiator, man.
On the record, I am having Artur Beterbiev putting Dmitry Bivol in the dirt.
On record, I have on record. Huh?
That was within the first 10 minutes of the show. I'm saying that Artur Beterbiev is going to put Dmitry Bivol in the dirt.
And I'm saying By round 9 and round 10, you're gonna be begging for a stoppage. Bivol's gonna be beating up on that boy. He's too easy to hit. He's too fucking slow. There's a fucking class in skills. Y'all gonna be just as shocked as y'all was when y'all jaw was on the floor. When Anyway did that to Fulton, when Crawford did that to Spence, it's gonna be one of those type of things. Skills pay the bills. They always pay the bills. You just get caught up on limited fighters with power too much, bro. He doesn't have enough nuance and skills. There's a gap in there. He's gonna get flushed every time he come in. He's gonna get fucking picked apart.
Man,
Let's put a bet on it. Let's bet on this shit.
I will put 100 right on it right now.
Let's go. I put 100 on it right now. I'm more confident on this shit than I was on Fury versus fucking Wilder, bro. This shit's easy fucking money.
I'm just glad Zoe got my phrase right. He talking some other stuff. I say they limited. Get that shit right, Zoe.
Okay. Well, he's not a smart fighter. Let's put it. I'm not gonna say he's limited. He has the tools. He's just not an intelligent fighter, bro. He did not utilize the proper game plan. And the fact, and there's nothing that pissed me off when I see a fight when somebody shows you during the fight that they have the game plan to win and they just don't utilize. They're not consistent with it. There's nothing that pissed me off. Dog, this motherfucker was reaching in with a jab. This nigga looked like, what's that UFC nigga Jake Paul knocked out?
The
first dude he knocked out?
Nah, the first
Woodley?
dude, the wrestler guy. Yeah, it looked like
Woodley.
that. No, Ben Askren. It looked like that. The way he was reaching in with the jab, it looked like that. I'm like, yo, counter this motherfucker. But he kept on conceding the space. He kept on conceding the space and allowing this nigga to violate his space, bro.
But that was the thing, man. I mean, I didn't think that he had enough. Callum Smith didn't have enough movement, and he's too tall, man. Because you could only move around the ring for so long against.
I don't think it's that. I think he's just not intelligent. I think he just got some bar fighter blood in him, though, where he just can't help himself, though. I think he's one of those that he can't help himself. He just got to get into that type of fight.
Because of his big brother, I mean, all his brothers fight like they're fighting for their name in a sense.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying. They like fucking fighting gypsies ass more. They like bar fight. They got some honor shit instead of doing the proper thing and winning the fight. It's like Philly niggas. Like, Philly niggas that always let you down. They'll have all the skills in the world and do some Philly shit and lose.
that's funny. So I agree with Zoe. A lot of stuff Zoe saying. Not the sensational stuff, but I do agree with his sensational stuff. He just make it more exciting. The jury was still out on Beterbiev because he started so slow for me. It was like it was at a point to where he throws his hands, but he don't throw them. And then in the beginning, it just looked like, I don't know, it's just like he didn't have his motor going. And then 2-3 rounds in, that motor started going, and then he just letting shots go. They not necessarily hard shots. I mean, for him, they hard, but he just started letting his hands go more. And even though the punch is coming out slow sometimes, they still landing. They still hitting him on the arm. They still making him feel more pressured and stuff. And, I mean, at some point, he started feeling the pressure. And so he was like, I can't let this man press me like this. I got to make a stand. And so that's when he made his little stand. And then he probably was thinking to himself, damn, this shit is about to be over with. Because, he made his stand and it worked for a couple times. But then Beterbiev just was a still snail's pace coming at him. He just kept coming, kept throwing the same punches.
Hey, we got to say something about those behind the head hammer fists. Behind the neck hammer fist, dog. We got to say something about that shit, dog. Y'all seen it.
But is it a rabbit punch, or is it something where he just ends up throwing in that in a direction, and then the opponent just moves in a certain way that it affects them. It affects the
If you was
equilibrium.
if you was the trainer of the offended party, how would you feel? Put it that way.
Hey, listen, who was it? Did Buddy McGirt say that it was out there hollering and screaming and that he's
Didn't have the mic on him. He probably was.
I don't
Didn't
know,
have the
man.
mic
He
on
wasn't
him.
looking like it. He wasn't yelling at the referee or nothing like that in between rounds.
Yeah, because he was
All I
concussed from
know
all
is
those judo
the
chops
only
behind
thing
the
I
blade.
saw him was him stepping in the ring, stopping that fight.
Wait, hold up. I know we're on the Beterbiev fight, but I'm gonna be real with you. We found Canelo's next opponent.
You know he's not Haitian, though. You know he's not Haitian, though.
That garbage ass nigga Mobili, that nigga's Canelo's next opponent.
Oh, come on, man.
That nigga,
Okay, never mind. It don't matter that he's not Haitian. Never mind.
he's the
Nah.
perfect Canelo opponent. That motherfucker gonna get picked apart. That nigga's the he's gonna make Canelo
Come
look
on, man.
spectacular.
That would be just a little bit of a step above when Canelo had his
Kirkland?
defense against freaking Abney Yoderum, man. Come on, man.
Nah, bro. Like I think he's gonna get it next because people are excited about him because he has the offense and he has the machine, but he's so fucking oh my
He has
god.
no defense though, man.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's the perfect Canelo opponent, bro. He's gonna be Canelo.
They're gonna put him. They're gonna put him up there against David Morrell Jr. Man. Like they ain't gonna, man. If they, I don't know, man.
They're gonna put him Billy. They're gonna put him Billy in him with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Billy called out Canelo, right?
No,
I mean, just because he called him out, you're right. He gonna.
Listen,
like
that is the perfect Canelo opponent.
Oh my god. Nah, they wouldn't do that, man.
Yo,
like
by the time the
might
fight
even be
over,
worse than having Canelo.
They would do that though, JR. They would do that because as so said, Canelo gonna look like the golden child.
Yo, after that fight's over, you won't be able to convince the Canelo fans that he's not God, bro. You won't be able to, dog. Yo, you know how great that is gonna make Canelo look. I can see. I'm envisioning the fucking weaves and counter. I'm envisioning the uppercuts, bro. And you know that nigga's big and strong, so it's gonna take a minute for him to go to sleep. So it's gonna be a decent party. It's gonna be a theater, bro. Sign me up.
No, man. That would be like I said, that would be even worse than having Jaime Munguia as Canelo's opponent there for May, man. They wouldn't do that.
I think I would rather see Jaime though, because at least we done seen Jaime over the years. Like
Munguia versus Mobili's a crazy fight too. Come think of it.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be a very good fight. I would like that, man. I would definitely like that.
Has Munguia not earned his place to at least if Canelo gonna take a light touch? I think that Munguia has earned to be the light touch that Canelo takes, as opposed to somebody like Mbili or something.
Yeah, you right, and he's another nigga that'll make Canelo look like God too, though. That nigga sucks so bad.
Oh, come on. Oh Lord,
Canelo, yeah. Never mind. I take it back. Munguia. I forgot Munguia was still on the table. Yeah, Canelo definitely fight Munguia next.
Yeah, so you do have that as the most likely fight there for Canelo Alvarez at this point, because that Christian and Billy, man, like that ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it at all. But yeah, back to the whole joint with Beterbiev and Smith, man. Like
the future Bivol victim.
No, he's not good. I'm telling you, he's not. Like I said, I'm putting up 100. I'm putting up 100. That
and big fights like this. Listen, in big fights like this, JR, in big fights like this, I'm on a winning streak against you, man. You realize this, right?
Listen.
I got Josh Taylor, T.O., Crawford, Spence, Fulton, Inoue, and this is just gonna be another added one. So don't be too confident, man. I'm up right now.
So I agree
You're
with
up
you on
and
that
down,
too.
but you're gonna be that. You're gonna go down for one. You're gonna go down one. You might win some, but you're gonna lose
First of all,
one.
the fight didn't happen in
So let me say this real
2025
quick.
because Bevo's gonna get hurt. Because Beterbiev's gonna get hurt this year. You know he's due for one. It's gonna happen in 2025.
So let me say this real quick. They almost slipped up and said, "You're gonna lose for once." He almost slipped up and said that. I heard him.
Yeah, I know. I heard him. I heard it. I heard it.
You know, I had to hit him.
And then he transitioned it to Jay-Z.
No, that was
Yeah.
Lauren.
Oh, Lauren, my bad. Just lost one. My bad.
Come on.
My bad. All this garbage rap done deteriorated my brain.
You see, man. Look, I like, man. I just like. I'm really look like I get it. Beterbiev's knocking everybody out, but don't fall for this shit again, bro. Bivol's gonna spank this motherfucker, man.
It's not about him knocking everybody out. It's how he's breaking down his opponents. Like the thing about it is, it's like he's catching and slipping. He's throwing counters over, shots over the jab, like he did with Callum Smith here. Even with Smith throwing a jab, he pretty much countered that with a right hand over the top and just, broke him. So
that's when Callum Smith's technique went down. He started doing that.
Bivol is gonna try and get comfortable with this foot movement and throwing the jab, and then once Beterbiev gets that movement down, he's gonna start countering them. Because like Boxing Academic said, the thing with Beterbiev is he does start slow. He does have a slow start early. Not really being very active. Although in this particular fight, he started pretty quick. He tried to pounce on Callum Smith, within that first minute of the first round.
And then he stopped.
He stopped. So he laid back on Callum Smith, and that's when Callum Smith, tried his things with the jab, tried to, work combinations off of that jab, but that stuff wasn't working because he had Beterbiev having the high guard. So
Bivol's gonna stop him around 10, man. Bivol's gonna stop him around 10, man.
JR, I tend to lean toward what he's saying because if he starts slow like he started in this fight, he gonna take some punishment. Like it ain't gonna be no Rocky punishment, but it'll be enough punishment to where in the later rounds he will slow down.
Boxing Academic, I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going the opposite direction. I'm saying the more pressure. I'm saying the more pressure better be put up, the more he's gonna get picked the fuck apart coming in. That's what I'm saying. That's what the fuck I'm saying. He's gonna get picked apart coming in. And by round 7 and 8, then they're gonna start pushing him back. And then by round 9 and 10, it might be a fucking stoppage. It depends what Bivol decides to do. Because sometimes Bivol like to go for the decision. You see, a lot of y'all basing this on the fact that y'all just don't like Bivol's fucking fighting style, boys, y'all. But the fact is, he's gonna school this nigga. He's gonna beat the shit out of this nigga. Every time this guy comes in, he's gonna fucking catch him.
You're talking about Dimitri Bivol. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna put this on record then. All right, I'm gonna add this on. All right, you got 100 versus 100 that on this Beterbiev Bivol, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. If Bivol wins by stoppage, I'm adding in another 50 for you.
Okay.
So you can win 150 against my 100. Because Bivol is not going to beat Artur Beterbiev. It's not gonna happen. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Pride comes before the fall, JR.
Walk right through him.
Man, he's gonna break.
He's gonna walk through those pity pat punches, throwing those jabs and combinations, trying to move over to the side.
First of all, when Bivol fights high level pressure guys, he doesn't throw pity pats like when he fought, like how he fought Canelo and Gilberto. First of all, every time Gilberto got into a distance to get busy, he fucking got rocked. And he had to be like, you could when Canelo got rocked a couple of times and Canelo got a chin. He rocks high level people. What his only issue is, sometimes he fights to the level of competition. That's why so many people didn't think he was gonna be Canelo, because there's 2 fights prior to that. He fights to the level of against fucking Beterbiev. He's gonna put on a fucking television show, bro. Emmy.
Yeah, it's gonna be an Emmy when he's down on the canvas, bro. He's gonna be down.
And then the crazy thing is, I'm gonna show up here the next day and I'm gonna give you guys a grace period, but then y'all gonna piss me off. And then I'm just gonna have to just go in and that's exactly what's gonna happen with one of those shit.
Like, what is it that that's the thing though with Beterbiev, man. Like, I've seen him, here against Callum Smith, against Anthony Yard, against Marcus Brown when he, dealt with a huge cut. Joe Smith Jr. ain't have anything for him.
Man, he had non-smart ass Marcus Smart fucking ahead, Marcus Brown ahead. That nigga is not intelligent either. He had that nigga fucking boxing circles around him.
Like, this dude he's held a title since 2017, bro. Like, I'm
JR, you might cancel your show. You might cancel your show. You're gonna be so shocked at this shit.
I'm not doing it. Listen, the only way that my show would be on hiatus, okay, is if by any chance of any imagination that Joshua and Wilder fight and Wilder wins.
And Joshua gets knocked out.
Right.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of niggas in my head too. There'll be a lot of niggas in my head. I got years of depth for that shit.
Listen, I am not going to have that on my head, because I know that the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club will be all over me.
Because you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna show up to the show and then you're gonna be forced to sit here and be like, "How the fuck do you do it?" That's what you're gonna be like. How do you do it?
Listen, for you, Bivol, if you Bivol ends up stopping Artur Beterbiev, then yeah, I'll be like, "How did you do it?" I will. Listen, like,
because you know what's my mistake I made with the. You know what's my mistake I made with the last 2 fights? I was too respectful to the other side. Because I went back and I'm looking at my old tweets and my old comments on Facebook. Like, in the last minute, I decided to be too respectful and said it's gonna be Spence Crawford is gonna be a close fight. But you JR, especially if you follow me over the years, you know that was never something I said. I always said, I could even send you screenshots. I always said he's gonna take away the jab and toy with that boy. You feel me? But in the last minute, I wanted to be respectful because I was happy with how Spence conducted, like the way Spence conducted himself during the whole shit. You feel me? I had a whole newfound respect for him. So I kind of, started, warming up to him. But realistically, man, I knew that show was a wash. I knew. I told y'all, fucking whatchamacallit, they had the only chance whatchamacallit had to beat anyway was to get on the inside. He couldn't outbox him. They was looking at me like I'm crazy. I told you he wasn't gonna be able to outbox him. Well, look what happened. He got outboxed. I told niggas this shit. He was gonna blow this nigga out. And then this is just one of those fights, man, where you guys just got blinded by accolades and belts and y'all not watching the film, man. Beterbiev's gonna get fucking his radiator flush, bro.
Man.
But yo,
what is that?
I'm gonna get, because that's me. I gotta go to a meeting, so I gotta hit you niggas up.
All right. Yeah, he had that. Yeah, he had that echo thing going there too, man, or whatever it was. But man, I'm telling y'all right now, man. Beterbiev, he was able to, adjust to everything that Callum Smith was doing. But once he figured out that Callum Smith really couldn't affect him all too much, that's when he, pretty much turned on the gas on him and just drown Callum Smith there within the the 6th and then the 7th round when he ended up finishing off Callum Smith. My thing was, man, he was just way too tough or too strong for Callum Smith in this. He just ended up beating him up and just breaking him down, and there was just really no answer for Callum Smith in this. Even though he was throwing some combinations here and there and all of that type of stuff, but outside of that, you really couldn't get much out of that. And once Beterbiev started to step on the gas after round 4 and got Callum Smith to the ropes. And when he got Callum Smith to the ropes and started to throw combinations, it was like accurate combinations, like jab, hook, coming back with the left. And it was just, methodical. It was efficient. And he was just landing everything there, while Callum Smith was on the ropes and just eventually breaking him down. He just got patient and just, landed with supreme, like almost like great accuracy, there. And once Callum Smith just ended up having the bruises, on his eyes, that was pretty much like the start of the end there for Callum Smith. And so, like I said, that's 20 wins, or what is it like? Like 20 wins, 20 KOs, 100% knockout ratio. Only had he's had 98, looks like 98 total rounds for Artur Beterbiev over the course of his professional career here. And yes, he is turning 39 within a couple of months, but it just looks like he's at the top of his game. He said he wants to perform for another 2 3 to 4 years, man. All right, brother Allen, man. Blessings for you to join in live here to listen in, on this this live podcast here. But hit the like button on the way out, to support the Boxing Source. We really appreciate it. But yeah, back on this thing here for the live, the Boxing Source podcast. Beterbiev, there's only one thing left. And that's the fight with Dimitri Bivol, as he mentioned that, as we mentioned. Beterbiev said he needs another belt, and that he feels like it would mean a lot if he was able to face Dimitri Bivol and get the win and become undisputed. I know that they've ran into each other a couple of times over the past few months. They've been talking about seeing about getting a fight, making a fight, putting a fight together, but outside of that, man, I mean, you gotta feel like that's the only thing left here in that light heavyweight division. Like everybody else, they could compete for 3rd place, 4th place, or whatever it is. This is the only fight that's left in the light heavyweight division. We've had multiple instances over the past few years where we've had, we've had undisputed. We've had undisputed in welterweight. We've had undisputed in super bantamweight. We've had undisputed at super lightweight. We've had undisputed at lightweight. We got, Canelo as undisputed super middleweight champion. So now it's only a couple of major divisions that we haven't seen undisputed at yet. And one of them is light heavyweight that, people have been asking for ever since 2021, probably. You know what I'm saying? Like 2021, 2022. That's when we've been asking for undisputed at 175 pounds. And now we're pretty much this close to, having that. As Beterbiev had, talked about it. You seen right after their fight, they were speaking with Bob Arum, as Bob Arum does have rights to Artur Beterbiev. Like he said, it's not done yet. He said that he'll talk with Turkey, allow Sheikh, or how many owls did he add to that? I have no idea. But Barbarian wants to see if he could have that fight secured in Saudi Arabia. That's probably the best option for that fight to take place. I mean, outside of Canada, for Beterbiev to have fights where fans will be able to attend, and having that thing over in Saudi Arabia, if you could get enough money for both of those fighters, then why not? I mean, you had Dimitri Bivol's last fight there in Saudi Arabia as part of that Day of Reckoning card against Lyndon Arthur. And like I said, he was out there for another unanimous decision. Yeah, it was a clean sweep there against Lyndon Arthur, but folks were looking to see, okay, is Bivol that guy that that could really do something here at 175 pounds, where he could make it really be a fight against Beterbiev if he was able to have an impressive performance against Lyndon Arthur. There were a couple of occasions there in that fight where maybe he could have went for the stoppage, but he didn't do it. And for those that were buying the pay-per-view live, they saw that and they're like, come on, we've seen all these stoppages at heavyweight and everything like that, and then they put this up, like, come on. Looks like Boxing Academic is able to join back here with us, man. It looks like we have a little bit of a cleanup of sorts here with the podcast or whatnot. But Boxing Academic is back with us, man.
You ran Zoe off.
Yeah, Zoe's gone, man. He had to take another thing on, man. But I don't know, man. Like I've said, man, I just don't see where Bivol could really affect Beterbiev. Like he could, have the movement or whatever it is against Canelo. But the thing with the Canelo fight is Canelo is like a natural counterpuncher in that he'll wait for his opponents and then see if they'll make a mistake and then pounce on that mistake. Beterbiev really doesn't do that. He could counter, but the thing is he could also come forward and get to the inside and work you. So if you don't have something, like I said, with the Callum Smith fight, if you don't have a punch that could, really affect Beterbiev, he's just going to walk right through it and then just do his thing as far as like throwing a power jab and working off that power jab to break you down.
So you don't think Bivol's punch will affect Beterbiev?
I don't.
Does Bivol have good defense? Does Beterbiev have good defense?
His defense to me is kind of like twofold in that he doesn't really use head movement that much. He'll use a high guard, but with that high guard, he'll use that in order to slip and counter, or he'll move his feet on occasion to get out of range of his opponent. So I think those two elements are what makes him have like a little bit of a difference against his opponents. But I think with his, like I said, he pretty much gets like a lot out of his punches. Like every punch that he throws, whether it's just a jab or the hook or uppercut or whatever it is, he gets the most out of that. And I think that is what has his opponents just end up withering and breaking down over the course of 10 rounds or whatever he ends up finishes an opponent's in. And I think that's going to be the same case with Dimitri Bivol. Like Bivol is not going to be able to, jab in and come in and out of the pocket or step off to the side that much or enough to halt the momentum of Beterbiev.
You say he will not be able to jab and step off to the side. Why not?
Because I feel like it's going to be something where, and I'm going to use the let's see the proverbial tail of the tape, right? Like you had the thing with Callum Smith was he had like a height and reach advantage there over Beterbiev. He didn't have the movement, the movement with the feet as good as Beterbiev. But with Bivol, Yeah, he may have the feet, but he doesn't have the reach. He doesn't have the reach in comparison to Beterbiev. So he'll be able to try to get his jabs off and try to parry and all that type of stuff. But like if they go jab for jab or jab to a counter, especially with Bivol using a jab in order to utilize the rest of his offense, I don't feel it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting style clash, but I just kind of see Bivol being able to stay away, at least in the beginning, at least. And he hits hard enough to where people do respect him. Respect, like him as in his ability to sting them. I ain't gonna necessarily say hurt him, but sting him.
At least try to stall him, or stall in momentum. So, that's the thing that, I would be looking for in a bout between those two is if Bivol has like that type of punch that'll, stall the momentum of Beterbiev. But, I just feel like it's only going to be, for so far until Beterbiev just ends up, keep coming forward and times them and then has a counter that'll just, really affect Bivol. And then after that, that's when Beterbiev's just going to go to work on Bivol. And then I just feel like it's going to be over. So that's why I've been very confident in that against Zoe. And yep, I put money on the line for that one because like I just don't see a fighter like Bivol, getting the better of Beterbiev in this particular instance. I just don't see it. I mean, but that being said, man, we'll have to see how that'll turn out. They said what about pretty good numbers though for that Beterbiev Smith fight. It says that 912,000 average viewers there for that particular fight on ESPN. That that's pretty interesting there, especially with it being like the first event of the year, boxing event of the year for ESPN.
But wasn't it after a sporting event?
I mean, you had the playoffs. That was going on. I think what was it? The last one had pretty much like ended around that time. So
I think it's people that just will continue watching. They just was watching, and then that came on.
Yeah, like the fight, like they had probably like the co-feature bout with Christian and Billy. They had that on, you know what I mean? So maybe that was it, but no, because they had the Texans and the Browns. That was like the first game, and then the other game that was on, what was that? Shoot, like I had to, man. That joker was just yesterday, man. You had that. You had the Chiefs, because the Chiefs and Dolphins, that wasn't even on ESPN. That was on like that streaming joint. So you had that. So I don't think it was coming off that. They probably had like some college basketball on or something like that. So, but still, man, over 900,000 viewers for that fight. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, it's not, it's two fighters, non-American fighters too. So, that was pretty good on their end.
I mean, 1 million views for anybody is pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, for that one on that instance, that's really good on their part, for them to pull that, So had that, and I know that Joe was talking about that thing there with Christian and Billy scored that stoppage over Rohan Murdoch in that co-feature bout at super middleweight. Man, I don't see how Christian and Billy could get in there, get a fight with Canelo Alvarez in May. That would really be something out of left field, man. That would really be out of left field. I felt like, you know, them potentially saying that Canelo could face Jaime Munguia next was kind of like something out of left field. But like they say Christian and Billy, like, nah, man. Like I don't see it. I really don't see that. So I just say just having Billy face, like I said, David Morrell Jr. You know, why not have him face David Morrell Jr.? Those two guys, you know, are there around that top part of the super middleweight division. So why not have those two guys face each other?
Yeah, I mean, that'll give David Morrell a live target, at least. And you know he like to throw his hands. He don't jab worth a damn, but you know, at least he'll try. And you can tell he got a pretty good will. So I mean, it'll be interesting while it lasts.
Mm-hmm. It would be, you know, but that's why I kind of like said it would be the thing there for and Billy, he's been like an action type of a fighter. He's had a couple of, it's been like a few fights because he had at least 2 fights last year. One against Damon Nicholson, and he faced Carlos Gongora there last year. In that Gongora fight, that was a action-packed fight there too. Now he won, you know, fairly wide in that particular bout, but you know, it still had some good action in that bout. So like at least you know that you'll get you'll make sure that he has he'll make a fight out of every bout that he's involved in, Christian and Billy. But outside of that, like as far as like defense, he don't have any type of defense whatsoever, it seems like. So so whether he faces like a David Morrell Jr. or David Benavidez or Caleb Plant or like anybody, you know, that is mentioned among the top there at super middleweight, they will be favored fairly significantly against Christian and Billy. You know what I mean? Now, you know, like I said, I mean, if Jaime Munguia wasn't, you know, facing John Ryder, then they could have had, you know, him against Christian and Billy. That would have been a good matchup. And that would have been something where you could say, like, okay, let's see where Jaime Munguia is at as far as like his overall skill set is concerned. And that he won't get like caught with something, you know, something wild or something crazy or, you know, somebody that has like that's pretty much like all offense and not much defense in Christian and Billy. But now the thing with Munguia is he has to prepare for this thing here in what, a few weeks.
Yeah, I think Munguia will win that fight just off the fact that Munguia has improved, and he's improved enough to where he at least uses jab more than Billy does, and he would just pick him off. He wouldn't pick him off like how a boxer would jab him, but he would at least touch him with the jab so easily to where when he does throw his right hand, the right hand will land. And Billy gonna land some shots, but he would get hit with jabs too easy.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And that's the thing, man. I mean, I just don't like, I don't see like where Munguia would fit in against, you know, someone like a Canelo, but he'll do his thing against John Ryder. It's just depending on where John Ryder is at this point of his career. Like he could probably catch him, but you know, outside of that, you know, I think Munguia would, you know, be favored in this bout. But you know, other than that, if he moves forward and he gets a win on that and then faces someone like Canelo, then yeah, I really won't give him like much of a shot on that aspect. So really shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So there's that, man. Now I know that there's been like some talk in reference to the fight card that's scheduled for March over in Saudi Arabia. That's going to be headlined by Anthony Joshua against Francis Ngannou, and it looks like they're planning on having a press conference for that here pretty soon. Looks like within the next few weeks or so. But the other thing that's been kind of dropped out there for this fight card is that they're going to involve even more heavyweights on this card, similar to the Day of Reckoning fight card that was on December. And one of the fighters that was mentioned that could be included in there is Zhilei Zhang. There, of course, the WBO interim champion, WBO interim heavyweight champ. He's been out there. He had those 2 wins over Joe Joyce last year. Yo was able to talk with Zhilei Zhang there for a good little bit. A couple of weeks ago. And then when they said that he could potentially, have a fight on that fight card on March, there were some names that were being mentioned out there, and one of those names was the former WBC heavyweight champion, Deontay Wilder. And, that would kind of be a massive fight there in the heavyweight division. Yep. Deontay Wilder was coming off of his loss against Joseph Parker in December. But, they still say that he could, potentially be a good candidate there to, be back in the heavyweight mix if he gets another win in the heavyweight division, especially against a highly ranked fighter out there. There's Zhilei Zhang out there. Yeah, he's up there in age, 40 years old. But there's the southpaw, and has a big punch there that was able to first neutralize Joe Joyce in the first fight, and then in the second fight was able to knock him out there. So that would be a big fight. As of last weekend, Zhilei Zhang's manager or his team pretty much said that they were working on having him be part of that fight card in March, but they said at that time that nothing was, locked in as of yet. But things may have changed here over the past few days there. So I mean, maybe they could have that fight locked in against Deontay Wilder, but if not against Deontay Wilder, then maybe against some other heavyweight contender, maybe one of those contenders that were out there as part of the Day of Reckoning card, maybe against Joseph Parker or somebody. So who knows, man? I know that Zhang was talking, a lot about Joseph Parker after he beat Deontay Wilder, but when he was talking with me, he's like, he could potentially, be a good opponent for any one of those guys that won or were part of that Day of Reckoning fight card. So. Boxing Academic, like I know that Wilder is looking like he's trying to get back in the ring or get back into winning, like to a winning streak. Would it be like something or would it be good for him to fight someone like Zhilei Zhang, or maybe someone that's around a little bit lower in the heavyweight rankings next?
Yeah, I don't think he should fight Zhang. Just off of Zhang can hit hard, and he's surprisingly mobile for him to be so big. He ain't Tyson Fury, but he's a broke man version of Tyson Fury, who's slower and got more slug-like feet. But essentially, though, he is athletic to be big. Zhang is. He got good head movement and probably what I consider waist movement. He got good, like he can move his head via his waist. Like he can do what Ali does, or what what's my dude who shoulder roll, who do the Philly shell before Floyd, Haitian, James Toney. He's like He ain't none of them. Let me be clear. But I'm saying his waist movement makes him sort of difficult. Like, you know, slow people like Joyce, his ability to have waist movement and stuff is what allowed him to pick Joyce off so easily, because he could dodge a punch just off a simple, you know, waist dodge and then throw something back. He's athletic enough to do that, even though he, you know, kind of like big and sluggish, but he's agile enough to do that. So no, I don't think Deontay Wilder should face him. I think that would be a tough match up for Deontay Wilder. Now, all that could be a moot point if Deontay Wilder could land the skip, you know, like big right hand. I think Zhang and everybody else will probably look at what Tyson Fury did, look at what Parker did, and they'll just simply move to the center. I mean, Wilder got to throw to their chest, but no, Wilder should not fight that dude. Fight somebody else. Don't fight him.
I mean, that would be something for you to like deal with a southpaw on that front for one, and then you know to kind of like deal with someone that has like a big punch, like a Zhilei Zhang. You know, one of the things that you know I was saying after Wilder's fight against Parker was the thing that really stuck out was how Wilder reacted to punches being landed on him. You know, that kind of, you know, had him deterred a little bit as far as like, you know, throwing like any type of resistance or anything like that, and kind of like being confident in, you know, throwing a counter. So it was almost like he allowed Parker to, you know, get more punches in after landing a shot or after landing a right hand. So the thing about facing someone like Zhilei Zhang, who, you know, probably has like a harder punch than Joseph Parker does, and he would be coming off with a left hand instead of a right, that like how would it be able to react to that the left hand of Zhilei Zhang? And yeah, that might not be a good look if he, you know, ends up getting caught with it and ends up, you know, losing to it if that's possible. But on the flip side, if he's able to win and defeat Zhilei Zhang and, you know, get the WBO interim championship, then he will be right back in the mix. He'll be there to say, hey, I could be next in line to fight for the, you know, undisputed title after, you know, Fury and Usyk fight each other, or at least say, hey, maybe I get to be a world champion once again, you know? So could be like something where it's like a high risk, high reward there for Deontay Wilder if he does potentially face someone like Zhilei Zhang next. But, you know, if that doesn't happen, then, you know, the alternatives are, you know, they're still saying maybe he faces Andrew Ruiz Jr., you know, or maybe a Filip Hrgović. But I mean, at the same token, Filip Hrgović is there as the IBF mandatory. So there's that. But maybe with Hrgović, you know, Hrgović did have his bout against Zhilei Zhang, did get the win by decision over Zhang in what was that, 2021 or whatnot. And, you know, some people thought that, you know, that was a toss-up. That was a flip as far as like who won that fight. So, I mean, you know, you do have thing there with Filip Hrgović, but, you know, there's still options out there for Deontay Wilder in that heavyweight division. But for him to, you know, try to get back into the mix for a world title shot, you know, maybe he'll, you know, consider a couple of options out there. But, you know, the other thing too is he going to be motivated enough, or is like the money going to be good enough, or is he going to be motivated to, you know, get himself back in the ring and you know, fight, you know, someone like a Filip Hrgović, or, you know, maybe somebody like Andrew Ruiz, who knows? But, you know, I think, you know, he's pretty much at a crossroads in his career after, you know, suffering his latest loss to Joseph Parker. So we got to see what will be next for him after this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's it is a good reward, but the risk too high with how he responds and sort of. Deontay Wilder probably ain't got too much longer in the sport, and like, I mean, the fights with Tyson Fury took a lot out of him, and he's the same in terms of his aura, but physically he ain't the same. And I again say, wait till Tyson Fury beat up on what he called Bunny Rabbit or whatever he called
the rabbit.
the rabbit. Wait till he get undisputed, fight Tyson Fury one more time, knock him out, win the undisputed, retire. That's how I hope it happens. I know you're gonna say no. You're gonna say no. I don't think so. No, never. But I mean, I can see that happening.
I mean, Fury might, give him another shot. I think, Fury might.
I know, because he gonna talk shit and be like, you a cheater and stuff. And Fury's like, I'm gonna smash you. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna happen like that. He gonna beat Usyk, and then he will give Wilder another fight, because Wilder gonna say he gonna retire after the fight, win or lose. Very likely, he'll say he'll retire after the fight, win or lose. He win by knockout, and then go off into the sunset.
So I mean,
that'll be a hell of a ending to his story. At least the boxing part of it.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, he's already, achieved a lot as it is, coming from where he came from. So, I mean, he could say like, hey, this would be, the thing, this would be the perfect thing to like close my career out with, is to, score the win over Tyson Fury, finally beating Tyson Fury. And, he would be able to hand Tyson Fury his first loss, so that would really kind of, make him, like close the chapter in his career, but it would also like, define his legacy there. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. So we have to see like how that's going to, turn out there for Deontay Wilder. We'll probably get some more news as to if he does end up facing Zhilei Zhang next, or that has another option out there for him. But definitely wanted to like touch on that. The other news there that we had was what it looked like news was made that the fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and George Kambosos is going to be likely for May 12th over in Australia. And this was reported by Keith Idec that, they said that the teams for Lomachenko and Kambosos have, locked down a deal for them to meet on May 12th. It's eventually going to be for the IBF lightweight title that's going to be, end up vacated by Devin Haney. So that was the thing there. But this was like coming from Keith Idec and Boxing Scene, who like kind of followed up with what was said on the end of the Beterbiev Callum Smith fight there. So he kind of like had this thing confirmed that Lomachenko Kambosos will be held on May 12th there over in Australia, but it's going to be May 11th in the US there when ESPN is going to televise it. So he's going to finally have that fight taking place out there for between those two guys in the lightweight division. But we still need to see a couple of other fights at lightweight that have to take place, man. I'm waiting to see what's next for Tank Davis. Also curious to see what's going to happen with Frank Martin too. That's there as a lightweight contender. So maybe the lightweight division is going to be able to clear itself out there pretty soon. But we'll see how that goes, because I think Shakur Stevenson has a WBC belt. I feel like he's going to have a fight over in Newark there, as far as like a voluntary defense over in Newark. If not, then I have to see like who else will be a contender out there for that WBC belt while Shakur Stevenson is holding it. I'm going to check something there real quick because the WBC had just updated their rankings, and I mean they had like Vasyl Lomachenko there at number 1. So, but like I said, Lomachenko and Kambosos are going to fight each other, so he's out. So maybe Shakur Stevenson faces someone like William Zepeda or Ray Murataya next. So we'll see how that goes with that one, man. But that's the lightweight scene there real quick. But like I was saying before, Lomachenko and George Kambosos, usually it looks like it's going to be May 12th over in Australia. So that's going to be for the vacant IBF lightweight title. So you definitely have that to look forward to. As far as like upcoming bouts, I really don't see much out there that's coming up there really soon. I did talk about Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder. That's supposed to be in a couple of weeks. But outside of that, you don't really have that much action going on. I mean, I'll check the schedule. I know that there's supposed to be Michaela Mayer versus Natasha Jonas is supposed to be next week, so do have that coming up. But also like a few other fights there that that we gotta pretty much look out for. So we'll see how things go here over the next couple of weeks here in the boxing scene. But as of right now, that's pretty much like what I got, man. Anything else from you, Boxing Academic?
Nah, nothing for me.
All right, cool. So yeah, that brings close to this particular episode here for the Boxing Source. Thanks for everyone that's joined in live to the Boxing Source podcast. A shout out to the Boxing Academic. Shout out to Zoe here for being on here live, and all of those that are here that's listening live, and also those on the replay. Big ups to Android here, showing up here at the end. Hopefully we get a PBC schedule as soon as possible. It's getting crazy out there. I mean, yeah, man. We got to see what's up with this thing in a few weeks. They're supposed to be jumping off here. Like I heard that it might not be a pay-per-view out first. That they might try to get something in with potentially. Tim Tszyu, that they could have Tim Tszyu in Las Vegas there. So, I mean, you got Tim Tszyu in Las Vegas, could be him against Erickson Lubin in Las Vegas, and they try to, just have like the thing there where they roll out, what's going on with Amazon Prime there. So you can have Tim Tszyu versus Erickson Lubin. You still got, that potential fight of Keith Thurman versus Iamana Sanionis out there. So you could also have that. Like I said, you got about 12 to 14 events that would be part of the rollout there for PBC on Amazon Prime. So you will have one event a month on Amazon Prime there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Amazon Prime pay-per-view or something like that for every one of them. You can have something like I said with Tim Tszyu versus versus Erickson Lubin. You could potentially have I just like seen this thing there where you're gonna have Sebastian Fundora. He's supposed to be fighting Sergey Bohachuk or whatever it is. They say like the Bohachuk Fundora fight would be in a 12-round bout with March as the scheduled date. So we'll see. They say the interim WBC super welterweight title is going to be on the line for that. So maybe that'll be part of that fight card there that's going to involve Tim Tszyu and Erickson Lubin. So we'll see. But outside of that, yeah, we got to see what's going to be, there for Tank Davis. He might have a, pay-per-view in April. You'll have Canelo in May, most likely. You have, of course, the whole situation there with Terrence Crawford. I mean, looks like that rematch with Errol Spence is, pretty much not in the cards. So what will be out there for Terrence Crawford? Who knows? Will it be Jamel Charlo? I don't know. It won't be. I don't think it's going to be Jerron Ennis. So, yeah, have to see what's going to be out there for Terrence Crawford. Who knows? But that's pretty much the thing there. They're kind of like seeing what's going on with the schedule, who they could secure, who they could solidify in each of these cards, at least for the first few months. For March, for April, for May, there for PBC. What they're going to do. Now, I did see that the thing for Vegas. They do have a few dates that have been reserved. They're over in Vegas for TGB Promotions. What was it like? I had I forgot what it was. It was like March. What I say? I'll look that up real quick there for you. If you're still there with me, Android, you still have I think it was like March 23rd and March 30th. They had a date held there in Vegas. For TGB Promotions, so whether it's going to be March 23rd or March 30th for that fight card with Tim Tszyu, because remember Tim Tszyu mentioned that he wanted to fight over in Vegas, so we'll see how that goes. Big ups to Joe Blogs here coming in here on the tail end. It was pretty much like closing off this particular podcast. A shout for you coming up in here live. Was just answering the thing there for Android's thing here, where he says you'll hope we get a PBC schedule. But like I said, up to March 23rd and March 30th, I did see the Nevada State Athletic Commission's schedule, and they had something held out for March 23rd. They had something held out for March 30th. It looked like they had something. Well, remember they had something held for looked like January 13th. That was that was canceled, and they had something held for February 3rd. So that was canceled as well. But I see something for February 24th. I see something for March 2nd. Like I said, March 23rd and March 30th, at least for now. So those are the dates that are being held right now for TGB Promotions or, like PBC or whatnot. But as far as like the date in February, I don't know what they're going to have for February. Like I said, early March, I don't know about that. So the March 23rd or the March 30th, fight fans could kind of like see there with that. Good question. The thing with the Fury undercard, right? I had heard that Sergey Kovalev was supposed to be included in that. I think I've seen a recent report out there for Sergey Kovalev being included in that. So maybe we have more on that. But I forgot who the opponent that they were talking about as far as like who Kovalev was going to face. But that one, Sergey Kovalev is part of that card. Yeah, I don't know, man. So we'll see. But as far as like other fights, yeah, I haven't seen anything else for that. You know what I mean? But that's what I've seen as far as like that particular undercard for Fury versus Usyk. You know what I mean? hopefully we hear a little bit more. I mean, we're only like what 4 weeks away. We're supposed to be what is that, February 17th or something. That was supposed to be Fury versus Usyk. And what was it? As of last week or like a week and a half ago, like I ain't really heard much about that actual bout, that if it was going to take place or not. I mean, I ain't heard something from Turk Ali Al-Sheikh or whatever it was in reference to it. But a couple of days after or the next day, then they posted something about that fight. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, Fury's been quiet, and Fury was been quiet. Usyk had been quiet. And so, with that being said, I was like, is this fighting Jeopardy or something like that? But that kind of like was turned back a little bit. Turkey Al-Sheikh had posted something a few days back, saying that the fight was still going, whatever it was. So what is it? You got the promotional things that are out there. What is it? Yeah, actually this morning they got something from this morning. Let me see. I'll see if I can share it here real quick. Yeah, I'll see if I can share it real quick. Let me see what this thing is for. Yeah, here it goes. Yeah, so yeah. Like, I mean, they put it out there, man. So I mean, it's still involved. It's still looking like it's going down. So they're in the Kingdom Arena. So there you go. You know what I mean? But outside of that, I haven't really seen much buzz around it. That's the thing about this. That's the thing about this fight too, real quick, man. Like this is undisputed. You got an undefeated fighter in Tyson Fury. You got an undefeated fighter in Alexander Usyk. And these are the two fighters that have supposedly beaten everybody. They're in a heavyweight division, and yeah, they have come off of some little bit of questionable or disappointing performances, especially with Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou. And you had the whole thing with Alexander Usyk there against Daniel Dubois with the low blow, or was it a low blow or whatever, But I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, man. So with that being said, we'll see how this thing goes on with that. Yeah, 1 month away. Fury. I don't know if Fury's compromised or whatever it is. We'll have to see. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, this thing's supposed to be for undisputed heavyweight championship. First 4-belt undisputed heavyweight champion. First undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis. So I mean, you're supposed to have buzz, anticipation, or whatever it is. But I think it's since it's Tyson Fury and it's Alexander Usyk, and it's not as folks wanted it. I guess some fans wanted it to be Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Now that it's not those two, then the whole buzz and excitement is pretty much like gone down. You know what I mean? But like I said, this is still undisputed. I mean, I said explain here at the beginning of this show with Beterbiev beating up Callum Smith that there's only one fight left in the light heavyweight division, and that's Beterbiev versus Bivol for undisputed. And we've been waiting for that for years, or at least a lot of fans were waiting for that for years, but it doesn't have the commercial appeal that like some other things would have. So whether that fight, Beterbiev versus Bivol, happens in June or July or whatever it is, we'll see. You know what I mean? Now this, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We have Terrence Crawford. We've seen what happened as far as like the news with Errol Spence Jr. Having eye surgery. That kind of like all but nixes the potential rematch between those two. So then there's what are the options going to be for Crawford? You know, you have Canelo. That's pretty much. I feel like that's a long shot. You have Jermell Charlo. He did have a little bit of an issue, before the end of last year, but I think looks like that's going to be cleared up. But given his performance against Canelo Alvarez, are people really interested in him facing Crawford coming off of that? I don't know. You also have Tim Tszyu, but like I mentioned, Tim Tszyu is looks like he's going to be fighting in March against Erickson Lubin. So that's out. So then who's left? Boots? I don't know. Unless if I hear something or some rumblings come about within the next couple of weeks, I don't see that particular fight happening either. So that's going to be the issue, or that's going to be something to really look at. Who will Crawford fight in 2024? If Canelo is not there, if the interest in fighting Jermell Charlo is not there, if you don't have Boots, then who's out there? Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is supposed to fight Yamana Stanionis. That was supposed to be in December. I guess they're going to table that fight until April or May, maybe. So who knows? But yeah, I'm not sure where Crawford is going to fit in, at least for the first half of 2024. I don't. I don't see a fight with Boots happening. I don't see the fight with Canelo happening. Especially with Canelo, it's like who's Canelo? I see what you're saying there, but it's like, okay, you got on one side, you got Terrence Crawford, but before all of that, you have David Benavidez. You just came off of his win against Demetrius Andrade. Benavidez has been chasing Canelo for at least 3 years. So is Canelo gonna, one way or another, Canelo's gonna have to fight one of those two guys by the end of this year. I don't think Canelo's fighting David Benavidez next. We kind of mentioned that he could face Jaime Munguia if Munguia beats Ryder in a couple weeks, but somebody came in here and mentioned that Canelo could face Christian and Billy. If Canelo fought Christian and Billy in May, there would be no way he should explain his way out of that. No way. Yeah, there are a number of fans that do want to see Benavidez take on Canelo and be the guy that beats Canelo for undisputed. A lot of people do want to see that. I feel like it's time. It's time for David Benavidez. I don't think that there's anybody else out there for him. He had a great year last year, wins over Caleb Plant, and like I said, over Demetrius Andrade. Who else is out there? You have David Morrell Jr., but David Morrell Jr., that would not be a good fight there for Benavidez at this time. I don't see them fighting until both of them are at 175. Eubank Jr., where will Eubank Jr. fit in? All right, I'll get to this here real quick. Chris Eubank Jr., he's there as a middleweight contender. I don't see him like he's the number one ranked contender to the WBO. Xander Beck's a unified champion at 160. Why not go after that? No point of chasing the whole thing with Conor Benn. Leave that off to the side. Leave that alone. Try to go for one of those titles there at 160. You got Jermall Charlo still holding the belt there at 160. See about trying to get that off of him. Or saying that, hey, they want to see it. Is he going to fight as mandatory? I don't think Jermall Charlo is going to fight as mandatory. Whoever it is, no Sultanov or anything like that. So see if Jamal Charlo, especially if Jamal Charlo is going to be ending up fighting Canelo in May, you might as well give up that belt and just have two guys fight for it. And if that's the case, then you can have Chris Eubank fight for that WBC title. So he's there, you know. Yeah, middleweight. He's, like I said, Chris Eubank is ranked number one. I mean, ranked number one in the WBO in middleweight, and he's ranked number 2 in the WBC. So, I mean, if he plays his cards right, he could be fighting for a world title there at 160. So why not, you know, see what happens there in reference to, you know, the WBC situation? Because Zanabek, you know, just recently unified. You know, he'll probably have a voluntary defense, you know, against somebody, I don't know, some Andre Mikhailovich or Dennis Radovan or somebody like that. I don't know, you know. But in the meantime, why not just go ahead and you know, have wait it out and fight for potentially the WBC belt if they have it open. So we'll see. You know what I mean? Yeah, Charlo versus Eubank. Charlo versus Eubank would be good. That would be a good little scrap. I don't see why not have that. But you know, I have to, you know, make a few phone calls to see, you know, what, you know, Jamal Charlo is looking like he's going to do. You know, for those that, you know, have been following Boxing Source here, you know, I've been part of the weekly discussion there, or weekly thing there with Coach Ronnie Shields, hosted by Warwick Radio. So, you know, of course, Ronnie Shields is the head trainer there for Jamal Charlo. And, you know, he's also the head trainer there for David Morrell Jr. So he does have, you know, a few things to say in reference to, you know, potential opponents for those guys. So we'll see how, you know, that is there. Golovkin, man, it looks like he retired, man. He hadn't fought in a good little while. Looks like he, you know, gained some weight. You know, it's a wrap for Golovkin. And you know, the thing there too with Golovkin, you know, he had been part of the rankings for the WBC for a while. I think he was also part of the WBA. But they removed him completely from the rankings for that. The WBO still has him in the rankings, but they dropped him all the way down to number 6. So I really don't see, you know, where Golovkin kind of like fits in for having a, you know, fight coming up, you know, especially there at middleweight. I just don't see it. You know, like I said, he's, you know, that's the thing. Who hasn't relinquished the titles? You know, you talk about Charlo. As remember before his fight against Jose Benavidez Jr., they were talking about that whole situation with the WBC title, and you know, they had negotiated the thing there. So yeah, man. Yeah, they relinquished it. He been relinquished it. Like, you know, he had the IBF. And remember, like, there was a fight for the IBF, and then who was it? Gualtieri won the IBF, and then Gualtieri fought Zanabek for unification, and you know, got beat up. And the thing for the WBA, they just, you know, he just ended up relinquishing it, and so they made Erislan Lara the champion. Charlo in trouble with the law. You mean Jamal Charlo? You know, the thing with Jamal Charlo, they kind of, you know, had everything, looked like they had everything sorted out with what was going on with Jamal Charlo. Unless there's something else going on with Jamal Charlo, yeah, he should be straight. You know, I could ask around, you know, and see what's going on with that. And probably I'll see if I can ask around, and then I'll post something on Twitter, on the Twitter page there. Follow at Boxing Source 2, and we'll be able to see something with what's going on with that there for you know, Jamal Charlo. But as far as like Jamal Charlo, he had like a little bit of a situation there, but Yeah, I haven't seen anything as far as like any updates for that. So let me see, man. Yeah, it looks like that hadn't been updated as of yet. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, how that is, man. Because yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm not sure what's going on with that situation. All right. Oh, real quick. Let's see. What do you think of Daniel Dubois? He's my new favorite heavyweight. I think he was robbed against Usyk. I had just talked about the thing there with Usyk, of course, being part of the undisputed there with Tyson Fury. That was a questionable little decision there by the referee, saying that was a low blow. Um, but even with that, you got to go off that momentum and finish him off. You knew that if he has an issue with taking punches to the body, in the heavyweight division, you keep going after him. You keep going after him. You don't, you don't fold or whatever it is. It's a quarter. Hey man, yeah. So you do have that, right? And he came off of that fight. Then Frank Warren put him right back in the mix against Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller was talking all that trash. Like I said, man, A B C D 1 2 3. Like, come on, man. And then and then Jarrell Miller lays a complete egg in that fight against Daniel Dubois and gets stopped. And then you have the whole thing with Jarrell Miller. Hey, y'all missed it. When you talk about Jarrell Miller getting arrested for trying to get back a repossessed truck. I'm sorry that listen, that is still one of the wildest stories that I've heard. Man, how you go hustle? How you go strong arm somebody for a repossessed truck? Nah, man, that don't even look right. And you know what the thing is too, just real quick on that one. Yo, I'm still blown by that. Now he was, out on bail. He was out on bail. And I don't know what else is going on with it. And Demetrius Salita, it was a promoter for Jarrell Miller. I've had Salita on through the boxing source multiple times over the years. But he Demetrius Salita said that he talked with Jarrell Miller about it. And he said, but what he told me adds a lot of context to what has happened. Well, we'll see. There's still a lot to sort out with that. So who knows, man? Yeah, that boy, Big Baby Wild, man. Yeah. I mean, he does have a personality. I tell you that much. Jarrell Miller does have a outgoing personality, that type of stuff. But yeah, man. But yeah, that story, bro. When I initially read that story, man, I was just crying laughing while reading that story. I was like, come on, man. You can't go out like that. You can't go out like that. But like I said, he's been out on bail. We'll have to see what the updates are as far as like what's next for him in reference to all of that. But we'll see how that goes, man. It's crazy. Yeah, with that being said, man, I'm not sure if you'll have any more questions here to rise up here for this particular podcast. Like I said, just summarizing everything from earlier. Talked about Artur Beterbiev beating up Callum Smith, getting a stoppage. Buddy McGirt jumping in the ring, saying stop the fight. Beterbiev wants Dmitry Bivol next. I say that, hey, you got to have Beterbiev. I'm favoring Beterbiev highly. And yep, if y'all catch the early part of this show, I had put wager down with one of the guests that came on. I got Beterbiev beating Dimitri Bivol, like beating him. Like it's gonna be, he's had what a 100% KO ratio up to this point. Beterbiev, I feel like it's going to continue there against Dimitri Bivol. So, there's that. With that being said, man, you also had the thing with Christian Billy. He got the win in that co-feature bout. I didn't mention the what was it? The thing there with Maloney, right? Andrew Maloney, that was a good fight. That was a good fight. That he was a part of there, right? I think. Jason Maloney, my bad. Jason Maloney against Saul Sanchez. That was a good fight for the WBO bantamweight title. Jason Maloney versus Saul Sanchez. They were saying Sanchez was, a power puncher there in that bantamweight division. That Maloney would have to, try to see if he could box his way through this. But Sanchez, kind of like was getting some good licks in. But Maloney, Maloney was able to mix it in there. And he fought on the inside against old Sanchez and got the better of him, for part of that fight and got the advantage on the scorecards for 2 of those 3 scorecards, for him to keep that WBO bantamweight title. So props to Jason Maloney getting that win. That was a good little scrap, there. So those that were able to watch on ESPN Plus, that was a good one there. You thought it was a draw. Yeah, I think some people felt like it was a draw. Like I said, man, Sanchez, really had a couple of instances where he was hurting Jason Maloney. I think there was like a little bit of a cut or something like that. They said it was from a headbutt or something, but hey, Maloney got through that, with what he needed to do in order to squeak out the win. But it was a close fight. It was a good one between those two, but Maloney was able to get the win. But with that being said, that's what I got here for this version of the Boxing Source podcast. We'll be back at it here next Sunday. We'll see about that. And we usually have a midweek report that's on Wednesdays. So we'll see if we could do a midweek report on Wednesday as well. But big thanks for everyone that's joining in live here. If y'all y'all can hit the like button if you like the content here for this particular podcast. You can also check out the rest of the channel. We have a couple of interviews that were posted, over the previous week. One with Otto Wallin, one with Gary Antoine Russell. So hopefully y'all be able to check those out and enjoy those. And we'll see about having more content here on the Boxing Source YouTube channel. Here we're trying to get towards what is it, like 2,000 subscribers or something like that. I think we're like around 1,985 or something. I don't know. But we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. We'll try to get more content on here. You'll talk about topics there within the sport of boxing. You'll have my take on it. You'll be able to share your thoughts on it and everything like that. But it's this channel is for y'all. So to be able to talk boxing. We've had like I said, we've had this podcast here, not particularly on YouTube the whole time, but it started through Blog Talk Radio and been on YouTube here Sundays ever since 2015. So we're trying to keep this podcast going. I think it's like the longest running podcast in boxing. So we'll try to keep it going for y'all. But with that being said, I'll end this. And like I say at the end of every show for the Boxing Source podcast, the point of boxing is to hit and not get hit. not a standing trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening, everybody.